want you to raise your hand if you're an expert in Greek mythology. What? I don't believe you. I assure you, you know much more about Greek mythology than you think you do. In fact,
To prove it to you by the end of this talk. But in reality, I can't blame you. I thought the same 1 year ago, when I was learning Greek mythology in class. I thought it was absolutely boring, until my teacher told me to read this book called Percy Jackson, and because I liked it, and because I liked books, I started reading and reading, page after page, and before I knew it, I had become passionate. I searched up the myths mentioned in the books, the heroes, the gods. And when I finished the series, I realized something very important. I wasn't just reading a book. I was discovering an entire new world. Entire new world. And I could even say, it changed the way I saw things. Maybe even I became a slightly different person. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. How Greek mythology still impacts our lives. You probably know what Greek mythology is. But for those who don't, Greek mythology is the way the ancient Greeks thought of the world, said that every single part in life had its own god. For example, you probably know Zeus, the god of the sky, known by his majestic lightning. But you might not know Hecate, goddess of magic and decisions. So, Greek mythology is still present in our lives in ways we don't even notice or realize. In fact, many of the words we use daily come from Greek mythology heroes and gods, such as mentor, came from a really close friend to Ulysses, Echo, the nymph cursed to repeat stuff, Chronic, coming from Kronos, the titan of time, Museum, coming from the seven muses, and Panic, coming from Pan, the wild god. But that's not all. Greek mythology is also written in the stars, in constellations, reminding us about stories about pride, courage, and fates or free will that still impact and change and inspire many books and movies and games. Like Percy Jackson and like God of War and Hades. But also movies like Clash of Titans. You probably already knew that because Greek mythology is in their names. But can you try to guess what Finding Nemo, Nike, and Amazon have in common? You probably guessed it right. Greek mythology. Again. So, because Nike is the goddess of victory, a pretty good name for a brand selling shoes. And Amazon comes from the Amazon myth, from the Greek myth, the female warriors called Amazons. In fact, the first logo of Amazon was the Amazon River, which the Spaniards gave the name because of the Greek myth. So what does Finding Nemo have to do with that then? Is Nemo a god suddenly? No, it isn't. It's not Nemo, it's the story which is inspired in Greek mythology. It's heavily inspired in the Odyssey. So when we come back to that question, are we experts in Greek mythology? Of course we are, because Greek mythology sneaks into our lives in ways we don't even notice. It's our books, our movies, our games, and the dreams we have of being heroes ourselves. Greek mythology isn't, and I can assure you isn't, just a collection of old stories from a long-lost civilization. I believe it's a living influence that still shapes how we think, imagine, and see the world around us. It also teaches us lessons that remind us that even the gods have struggles, just like us. And maybe, deep down, that's why we're drawn to it. Because we all want to be a little bit like those heroes, to be brave, to go strong, to live those adventures. So next time you hear myth, don't just think of an old story. Think of it as a spark guiding many, many adventures. Many, including your own. Thank you very much.